What's up, guys? This is Alex, and like I said, I'm going to be making a video for care for ball pythons. Alright, so let's take one out so you can see what I mean. Alright, I'm going to take you out a normal python. A normal python, so you see, average, what they normally are, and everything else. Let's take out the whole tub. Just give me a sec. Okay, so this is what your normal ball python will look like as an adult. This is an adult ball python, and this is the tub that I use for my adult ball pythons. Alright, ball pythons, or Python regius, they're from Africa, and their size ranges from 3.5 feet to 5 feet. 3.5 being average, as in this guy is about 3 feet, 3.5 feet. He may not appear large, but when you stretch them out, they tend to be pretty large, as you can see in the shed. The long shed is his. Long snakes. Alright, so anyways, ball pythons, they're sometimes referred to also as royal pythons. They're from the tropical Western Africa, and they're about the most common snake in the pet trade industry. If I would recommend a starter snake, any snake would have to be a ball python. Why not a corn snake? Why not a colubrid? Why is because baby corn snakes, baby colubrids are actually really small, really skinny, and they're quick. They're fast. And it's really hard, for them to be held in most cases. I'm not saying that's the case for all of them. They can be tamed down. But ball pythons, as babies, let me show you a baby. As babies, ball pythons are technically, oh, there he is. Oh, he's angry. As babies, ball pythons are usually, a somewhat large species, just like all pythons. This is what your baby will look like. He's pretty big. He's being handled. Let's compare him to an adult, so you can see the size right there. This is a male too, so this is what they're going to look like. Females tend to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so anyways, your ball pythons, they can live for up to 30 years, so this is a pretty big commitment if you're going to get into a snake. Housing, a baby can be housed anywhere in a 10-gallon to 20-gallon up to the one a year old. Obviously, I keep a number of snakes, and I keep them in these tubs. And in these tubs, they're perfectly fine the way they are. They can move around, they can extend their whole body. So in these tubs, my snakes do perfectly well. Let me turn the air on a little bit, it's getting a little hot. And my snakes do fairly well in these tubs. So, anywhere from that, when they get bigger, a 40-gallon, 30-gallon breeder would be recommended for an adult ball python. Okay, heating and lighting. Ball pythons, like all reptiles, are cold-blooded. They need heat from another source. So if you either use an overhead or an under-tank heater, most people will recommend both. Really, one of the two is fine. Whichever one you decide to get, perfectly fine. Personally, I prefer under-tank heaters and the overhead, but that's just me. I'll put the under-tank, on the cool end, a couple layers, make it nice and cool, so it's not that cool. All right, so that's just me. In this room, it is 90 degrees. It is fucking hot. So I do not have any heating in this rack. As you can see, I'm going to show you right now. There is no heating. The humidity and the heat in the tub is sufficient enough for these snakes. They're fine, they're active, they're healthy. They eat, digest, everything is fine. Everything is fine for these snakes. I have no problems at all. They don't need UVB. They really don't. Substrate's a big thing. Some people are like, oh, don't use wood shavings because of impaction, blah, yada, 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 yada. People in the wild, these animals will get little pieces of dirt, wood shavings, whatever it is that they have on the floor, they will get it in their mouths. And if your snake happens to get a little bit of wood shavings in its mouth, it's not that big of a problem. Aspen would be recommended. Aspen is the best wood shavings that I could find. Other than that, newspaper works great. It's cheap. It's efficient. It absorbs. That's what I use because I have 8 snakes right now, and to change the Aspen every other week as recommended, and spot cleaning gets a little bit expensive. I just take my newspaper from Publix, a supermarket, get a catalog, a whole bunch of them, as you can see there, a whole bunch of catalogs, and that's my substrate, and it works perfectly fine. I'm actually going to have to start putting more layers of substrate because one is not doing the trick. As you can see, it's pretty humid in there, and the paper does get pretty wet, so I'm going to have to be changing that. It's over here. Water and humidity. Your snake should always have available a water bowl, clean water bowl. You can see this water bowl is about to be cleaned out. It's a little bit dirty, but other than that, it's clean. Watering snakes in the wild, the water isn't always the cleanest thing, but here when you keep them in captivity, you want to give them the cleanest water possible because they do like to soak. So remember to give them a large enough bowl for them to soak. This guy can soak himself in there perfectly fine. They will roll up and he will soak in there perfectly fine. Nutrition. Snakes are carnivores, so a recommended size should be given to them. When they're babies, they should be fed anywhere from small mice like hoppers. I prefer hoppers because ball pythons are a little bit hard to feed at first, but other than that, a hopper mice will move a lot around more than rat fuzzy. But other than that, you can move them up to rats, and anywhere from small to medium rats. Like this guy will pack a medium rat no problem, but I feed him small rats. It's a little bit smaller. And handling, as you can see, snakes are fairly calm, no problems handling whatsoever. Of course, they do not like most reptiles. People say they enjoy being handled. Personally, I think they just tolerate it. And the most a ball python will do is hiss and puff. I have never had a ball python. Well, I can't say that. Rarely do I get a ball python that will strike. You guys can see in my other videos, my big female that I have will hiss. She will hiss like crazy, but she's just a big bluff. She won't do anything. She's just a big bluff. That's how they are. They're just a bluff. Some will strike. I'm not saying that they won't, but yeah. Other than that, ball pythons are really easy to take care of, really calm. One of the best beginner snakes. I recommend ball pythons. I love them. Best reptile out there to me. So go out and get one. Alright guys, ball python care. Later.